What's up, Spirit Fam? So, I want to share with you my epic story of how I had my spiritual awakening. And yes, it is epic. It was epic. It was something almost indescribable, but I'm going to do my best. It's fascinating and wonderful, and I'm glad it happened. But in order for me to tell you this story, I need to go way back before then. Let's say about 8 years ago, because I had my spiritual awakening 5 years ago. And it was actually in summertime too, so it's like an anniversary. Odd thing is, it feels like I'm reawakening again, but onto a whole another level. So there's something significant about the 5 year cycle, maybe. I hear that it only takes 5 to 10 years for every cell in your body to regenerate, so maybe that's it. Maybe I have a whole new body now. Well, anyways, this story begins 8 years ago. I was working a career installing granite countertops for a friend of my sister's, and I had so much respect for this guy, and he was such a hard worker and did so much, but things got so bad that he, in his own personal life, that he started taking it out on us, his helpers, and he was treating us bad verbally, and eventually it got a little physical, and then that's when I had to say, all right, I need to protect my own energy, and this is obviously not where I should be right now. I don't need to be in this environment. So my mom offered me a 3-month vacation, but I would have to quit my career. So I made the big decision, and I said, all right, I'm going to throw everything I worked for the last 2 years, throw it all away, and start over again, because I can't handle this toxic environment. I had to get myself out of that. She helped me get out. We went 3 months vacation in Mexico, and this is very significant. That's when I found love. That's when somebody fell in love with me, and we both fell in love together. After the first week of just being there is when I met her, and then we spent the whole 3 months together. We had a long distance relationship, but we would see each other like every 6 months maybe. After I went back to Texas, I got all my stuff together. I had already, she was giving me time, my mom was giving me time to figure things out. That was the whole plan. I had plenty of time. I figured out that I don't want to be in Texas anymore. I want to go where my nephew is. I want to be close to my family. All my family is in California. So I packed up, left, and then 6 months later, after living with my brother, I came to a realization about something incredible. I don't know if you ever read the Emerald Tablet, but there's a phrase or a riddle. It's actually a formula, but it starts out as above, so below. So if you know that, then you know what I'm talking about. But I studied that Emerald Tablet. I read that thing at least 100 times before it finally clicked in my head, and I realized that it was a formula to create immortality. I didn't know exactly what or how. It was just my assumptions and me using a process of elimination to come to a solution. And I figured out that it was in fact a way to become immortal, or to turn lead into gold. And so I started doing a lot of research. I realized that it was actually meant to create the Philosopher's Stone, which is able to create lead out of gold and make you immortal. So yeah, when I figured it out, when I was reading that tablet, I had goosebumps from my head to my toe. I had chills. I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. And then something else in the text was saying you have to separate subtle from gross and heaven from earth. And to me, what I took from that was that you had to meditate. You have to separate your mind from your body. And so that's what I set out to do. It took me falling in love, and the reason that was important, it took me falling in love to want to do things, because before I didn't care about anything. I was just going through life, just going through the motions like a zombie. I had no sense of purpose. I didn't even care about myself. I didn't care about anything. I contemplated suicide most of my life. So I mean, that just tells you where my mind was at, or what I had to deal with, and something in me just never gave up. I just could never give up. I knew there was some reason to hold on, whatever that reason would be. I would never find out if I didn't. So you never know if tomorrow's going to be better unless you hold on and wait to find out. But if you give up now, you'll never find out. So remember that. That was a big game changer. So yeah, falling in love was very significant. It motivated me to start doing more research and learning things. And as a Sagittarius, our planet is Jupiter, which is based on expansion and knowledge and philosophy. So I wanted to learn more about my existence. Like, what is all of this, you know? I wanted to find out what the meaning of life is. And no, it's not 42. Although, that is my favorite number. And I just love that movie too, Guardians of the Galaxy. Wait, no, that's not it. No, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You got to see that if you haven't already. The meaning of life is, drumroll, 42. No, it's much more than that. I believe we're just here to experience life and enjoy life and love and be loved and grow. We're here to learn and grow and express ourselves and just be artists of life. So, back to the story. Hope you're enjoying it. So, quick intermission dance. Okay, time's up. It's such a nice evening, and this is my favorite time of day, from 7 to 8 p.m. because it's not 100 degrees and it's not cold either, and it just feels so good to be alive. So good, especially after my awakening. So shortly after that, I moved into my own apartment, so I had my own space. I started doing all this stuff, all these different techniques and methods to try to meditate. I was so dedicated and so motivated to get something from the divine. I was like, I need answers, you know. I need to make this philosopher's stone. How cool would that be if I could just create gold and feed the entire world and stop hunger and change things? Maybe I'd buy all the corporations and shut them all down and start over. I don't know. I could do anything, and if I was immortal too, then nobody could stop me. But my intentions were always pure, and I ended up realizing that it may be more of a literal thing it may be more of a metaphorical thing than a literal thing. It might not be an actual stone. I believe I turned my heart from lead into gold by letting go of my leaden grudges, letting go of fear and insecurities, and just allowing life to take me wherever the wind blows. You truly learn to let go, and by doing that you create a heart of gold. We all have hearts of gold. Actually, I would say it, we each have a diamond. Our hearts are like diamonds, and right now they may be covered in the rough, but it's our job to uncover them. Nobody else can do that. You have to find your heart and let it shine. Your sapphire, baby. You are divine, but also human. You gotta balance the two. So, I was doing meditation for 2 weeks, like hardcore every single day for hours and hours. And I wasn't really getting anywhere within the first few days. And I felt... One second. So, I was thinking, if I'm going to get something from the divine, how can I expect to get something divine if I'm not giving anything in return? And I was also feeling more sensitive, so it got me thinking, like, all this food that I'm eating, all this meat and stuff, and like never eating very many vegetables, very poor diet. The American diet is terrible. Just fast food all the time, and not even cooking, just microwave dinners. I didn't realize how much damage I was doing to my body because I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't in tune with my body enough. I was so desensitized and numb to it all. So the more I practiced meditation, just after a few days I started feeling sick. And it would be every time I ate meat. And I was like feeling so heavy and just like it felt like I was lowering my vibration. At the time I didn't know what that meant. I wouldn't be able to articulate it in words, but that's what I felt. I was lowering my vibration and it was holding me back. And something was saying I need to give up eating meat, and that's going to be my sacrifice to show my reverence, to show I'm like worthy, and that I'm really, really worthy of this information and deserving, and it's something that you have to dedicate yourself to. And people spend their whole lives like trying to reach enlightenment, but enlightenment is just finding your light. That's all enlightenment is. You find your light and it's right here. You just gotta dig really deep sometimes. And the more you've been through, the harder it is. Not everybody is so in tune with their heart. I'm an empath, so I feel like I've had it a little bit easier, but we all have empathic abilities. I feel like mine are stronger because I've always been a romantic person. I'm very romantic, and that has made me very passionate and sensitive. Well, more just passionate. I can handle a lot. I'm really tough. I have so many different shades and polarities, and like you can't even put me in a box. You can't define me as one thing because I'm so many different things. And some of those things probably even contradict each other, so there's no way to even put me in a box or define me in one aspect. And especially because we're always changing, we're always learning and growing, and we are who we are. There's a core person deep inside you, and that is your true essence. Mine is like a flame. It can burn warm enough to just keep you warm, or it can burn really hot and burn you. It depends. I can go. What I'm saying is, I can go from nothing, like 0 to 60, real quick, and not in a bad way, but just in a passionate way. I prefer to just be relaxed most of the time, but I could just as easily get wild, get hyped up. that's that's the essence of a flame. And we all have different elements depending on our zodiac. You should look yours up if you don't already know, because it will make sense. You will relate to it. So back to the story. After 2 weeks, I finally got somewhere. 2 weeks of fasting. Some days I wouldn't even eat at all. I finally broke through. I went somewhere, and the only way I can describe this place is it felt like nothing and everything at the same time. I was part of everything. Nothing was separate from me. But I could hear a melody. The universe was playing this serene song, and it was just so calm and soothing. Right down into the core of my soul, I felt it, and I was it. And this is the undescribable part. You can't describe this kind of experience. You just have to have it yourself. And it's the only way. And nobody can teach you spirituality. You can teach you some things, some concepts, or different ways to look at it. But true spirituality comes from you and your heart, what you believe to be true, because nobody can tell you what you believe. Everybody feels different. Everybody's heart is different. Everybody loves differently. So nobody can deny you any of that. When I came back, I slowly drifted back into my body after 2 hours. And it felt so calm and elegant, I guess. I can never find the right words. None of these words will ever justify this experience. I'm just going to do my best to explain it. I came back and I could hear everything so clear and crisp. I could hear the birds chirping so far away. I could hear people in another apartment way down the way talking. I could hear everything. I could feel things that I didn't really notice. And then I started seeing things that I didn't notice before, that I wasn't aware of, or I just didn't pay attention to because, I don't know. Well, I was always in my mind instead of in my body. And we spend most of our lives in our mind instead of in our body enjoying life. And the system's set up that way to keep us from doing these things. Because if we were all to do this, we wouldn't need money anymore. There would be plenty of food to feed everybody on the planet, especially if we stopped feeding all of our corn to the cows. Then maybe we could have some for us. But yeah, seriously, if you take all the corn that we feed to cows, we could feed the entire planet 10 times over. If we were to move back into this type of living, just living on the land. Wow, there's a hummingbird right there. Hey, little buddy. They're always visiting. So, such a good story. So, one thing that really helped me was a YouTube channel called Spirit Science, and also a YouTuber called Ralph Smart. They both inspired me. He's the only YouTuber I even watch. Spirit Science, they do little animations, and they get scientists and a lot of different researchers and stuff to do videos with them, or just talk with them, or they get information, and they make these little animations, and they express how science and spirituality are bridging this gap. And because people are more likely to believe spiritual things if science can back it up. And especially me, I was always a very skeptical person. And I never even believed at God at one point. I still don't believe in God as a single entity. God is everything. God is love. We are sparks of God. What I like to call source. Because everybody could agree with that, because God is the source of all creation. So calling it source is very accurate. We are all part of source. There's no denying that. We are creators too, even though the things we create with our thoughts and vibrations, our intentions and emotions, they take longer to manifest in this third dimensional realm. But if we were in a higher dimension, they would instantaneously manifest. We would basically be psychic. Well, more than that, we'd be telekinetic. We're already psychic, and we have telepathy. It's just very subtle, and we don't even realize it's there. And if you don't train it and practice meditation, then you'll never know it's there. We've been led away from this, and it's just now that people are practicing meditation, and they're not talking to each other first. They're going through the meditation first, all alone by themselves, not telling anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even know how anybody would react to that. You're meditating? Okay. Especially 5 years ago, not a lot of people were into it. And still, a lot of people probably struggle with it. And if you do, you can watch the other video I just made earlier. I'll leave it in the description. It's how to meditate and what that truly means. So if you need help with that, you can watch that video. It's very fantastic, this experience, and I hope you can go out there and you can have this experience. It might take longer than me. You might do it faster than me. It all depends on your dedication, where your head and your heart is at, and how much you're willing to sacrifice to get to this. And I don't mean anything that you can't sacrifice. There's so many things that you can sacrifice, like watching TV or eating unhealthy or drinking soda. Just pick your biggest habit and just dump that for a little while. That might help too. Try everything. There's so many techniques. Another thing I would do was listen to binaural beats, and you have to have a headset because they play different tunes in each earphone, and it works together to create this experience, and it's just like being part of the universe. The sounds that it makes, the vibrations, it's the same as listening to the universe. But we can't hear it now unless we turn our brains off. Stop thinking for a little while. Start feeling. We should equally be feeling and thinking. There should be a balance. So just find balance. Listening to Tool, the band Tool, especially the album Lateralis. That song Lateralis, a lot of people don't realize it, but it's actually about making the Philosopher's Stone. It talks about the colors that it transforms into. The philosopher goes through 4 different stages during alchemy. After it reaches its last color, which I believe is I'll have to look at it again, but it's red, yellow, black, and white. Black and white is all I see in my infancy. Red and yellow then came to be. Okay, yeah, so red is the last color of the stone, and that's when it's finished. And supposedly there's only one person that ever